part 3, where we have a few more figures of speech explained. Hyperbole, onomatopoeia, apostrophe, pun, euphemism, climax, and anticlimax will be explained in this video. Starting with hyperbole, an exaggerated statement. For example, my backpack weighs a ton. It's just trying to show me or show the person who the sentence has been spoken to that my backpack is very heavy. But no backpack can weigh a ton. A ton is a big load. Okay. So a hyperbole is an exaggeration that is so dramatic that no one would believe the statement is true. For example, he was so hungry, he ate a whole cow for lunch, tail and all. Okay. We use hyperbole for impressing the person in front or making a dramatic statement, Another example, my teacher is so old she doesn't even remember her own name. So a very interesting figure of speech. More examples. Sometimes we use deliberate exaggeration for emphasis or comedy effect. Okay. Ouch, this pastry is hotter than the sun. And this clever fellow here makes Einstein look average. And this guy, this thief or whatever, has escaped more times than Houdini. Houdini was the magician who could escape from even put in a box and chained and etc. So you see how we can use hyperbole. Okay. Next, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech in which words are used to imitate sounds. For example, buzz, honk, zip, fizz, ding dong. When I'm reading these words, you get a different idea in your head about what these sounds are. A buzz sound is not the same as ding dong. Okay? So, when we use words like these, you get an image of what the sound is like. Onomatopoeia is a word that sounds like its meaning. It can also be described again as the use of a word which imitates a sound, and other examples are screech, whir of a fan, sizzle of something frying, crunch of wafers or chips, banging of the door, zap, roar, growl, click, snap, etc. Okay, so these are words which are used in the figure of speech called onomatopoeia. Next figure of speech, apostrophe, is when you address someone who is dead, who is absent, or non-human person, as if to say that person were there. For example, O nature, thou art my goddess. Little lamb, who made thee? Blow, winds, blow. Okay. Now, so it's a figure of speech when someone is absent or dead or non-human, okay, and it is said to that person as if the person is there waiting to give a reply. Now see an example of apostrophe in The Sun Rising. Okay, The Sun Rising is another poem. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou this thus through windows and through curtains call on us? So, we are talking to the sun. You busy old sun, why do you do this? Through the curtains and through the windows, you're coming and calling upon us. So, this is when we call this type of figure of speech apostrophe. The interesting and one used for comedy is the figure of speech called pun. It is a humorous play on words involving double meanings. Okay, now see this. A man stole a case of soap from the corner store. He made a clean getaway. Clean getaway means he escaped without being caught. And soap also makes us clean. So we are making use of that word for double meaning. Okay, see this one. A horse is a very stable animal. Now, stable meaning calm, cool, not wild, but at the same time it lives in a stable, so we are using the word stable for calm and cool as well as the place where the horse lives. So a double meaning use of words mainly for comedy is a pun. Okay. Then look at this one. The fifth one. Reading while sunbathing makes you well read. Now look at the word read here. Meaning reading calls you a well-read person and sunbathing makes you R-E-D read. Okay. Then so we have double meanings here. Then a pessimist blood type is always B negative. A pessimist means a person who never sees anything positive. Okay. So a pessimist blood type, now you know there is a blood group called B negative, but they are using it as a person who is not positive. Okay. So when we have these kind of words, then uh, having double meaning, we call them a pun. I look at this third one here. Santa's helpers. This is Santa Claus. Okay. So Santa's helpers are known as subordinate clauses. Okay. Subordinate means next in charge, no? Under the main man. So see how we use Santa's helpers. Okay. Or the people who work for him are known as subordinate clauses or helping people after Santa Claus. So I hope you can understand what is the meaning of pun. Very good example of pun. The duck said to the bartender, "Put it on my bill." Now bill here means put whatever I had on my bill and charge it to me. And another meaning of bill is the beak of the duck. Okay, so see how we play on words. Now look at this one. Why couldn't the bicycle stand up on its own? It was too tired. Meaning we say tired because the bicycle couldn't stand up, so I'm tired, I'm weary, I can't stand up. But too tired meaning it has two tires. So this is how we can use pun for humor. To another figure of speech called euphemism. It is a word or a series of words which replaces a sad thing, an unpleasant thing or shocking thing with softer, nicer things. Nicer ways to say it. For example, when someone has gone away from life, okay, or is dead, we say he has departed from life. We don't need to say, oh, that man died. You can say it in a nice manner, he departed from life. Okay. So here say there are examples, she passed away instead of saying she died. Okay. Then sometimes when people are on life support, they are on the ventilator, the family members are asked to switch it off. That is called euthanize, or put that person to sleep. That means put, that person is going to die anyway. So instead of saying euthanize, we say put to sleep. Okay. And then instead of saying, oh, you're very heavy or you're fat or you're overweight, we can say big boned or healthy. Okay. And instead of saying I fired you, go now, you are fired. Instead of that, I have to let you go. So when a very unpleasant or shocking or sad thing is happened, we can replace it with words that are very soft in meaning. Okay. So that is called euphemism. A goldfish passed away. She's saying it died. So we are using a better word. I'm letting you go instead of you're fired. So he's thinking you're fired, but what is he saying? I'm letting you go in a nice manner. So these are examples of euphemisms. Next one. We have seen, you see movies, you wait for the climax or the main part to come. Okay, but a figure of speech in which the intensity of the thought or emotion gradually increases is called a climax. Okay, see here, she dreamt of having a maid, first step. Next, a car and a house. So we are going from maid, which is a small thing, to car, a bigger thing, and then finally a house. Okay, so there are successive steps, and what the first one is not so important, it becomes more and more important and impressive as we go along in the sentence. I came, I saw, I conquered. See how the first word is not so important. I came, I saw is also not so important, but after that I conquered. That's a big, impressive, important thing. So we come in climax, the sentence is in successive steps from least important to most important. Now look at the next example here. He begs, he lies, he steals, and finally he kills for gold. So you saw how from unimportant it becomes important in climax to the last stage, which is the most important. Now, use the principle of climax in a sentence. They've given you an example here. The money that was collected helped pay for her rent, buy some groceries, and pay for her operation to restore her eyesight. So now, what is the most important one over here or least important? We'll use that first. The money was collected to buy some groceries, least important. Little more important, pay for her rent, and most important, pay for her operation to restore or to get back her eyesight. Okay, so this is how a climax works. Climax is the opposite of climax, so you will put it in increasing order, same way like a climax, and suddenly when you go to the climax you will drop down, opposite, completely opposite. Okay, so this is called anticlimax. Yeah. uh, uh, See, the politician lost his wife, his son, and his parrot at one full swoop. So here he lost his wife. We are going to the next step, his son, and then come to the very unimportant stuff and the parrot. Okay, so in climax we go to from least important to most important. Anticlimax is just the opposite. You will go nicely and you think it's coming from lower to higher, higher. Suddenly there'll be something which is opposite only. Okay, an important idea will become one really trivial or unimportant thing to something ridiculous. Okay, and this is used for effect. Okay, for real effect. Yeah. Then the pirates finally found the treasure chest. Okay, so now we are waiting for more. They finally found the treasure chest. That is the climax. And then we come to anticlimax only to find it empty. Okay, so that is what is an anticlimax. Identify the following figures of speech. I am sure that you have understood all these figures of speech which I was just explaining to you. The answers are given after this, but you now try to figure out what is this figure of speech. Okay, read each one. From the explanation, try to figure out what is the figure of speech. The food was so hot that my ears were smoking. Okay, I know what it is. Exaggeration, that means it's hyperbole. Okay, and then I'm going to the seventh one. You are telling me a fairy tale. Okay, a fairy tale means something that is not true. So you are telling me actually lies, but I'm saying it in a nice manner. So what is that figure of speech? When you say something which is not very good in a nice manner, euphemism. Okay, and the last one, oh death, where art thou? Talking to somebody who's not there. There's no person called death. So when you talk to someone who's non-living or not there, that figure of speech is called an apostrophe. Okay, so please go through all these and see in the after this whether your answers were correct or not. These are the answers to the all the figures of speech, all 12 sentences that I given you. I hope that you have understood this and you're going to get each one of the 12 correct. With the figures of speech, and this is just something for you to read and improve your vocabulary. What's the opposite of anticlimax? Now you already know the opposite of anticlimax is climax. And then you have a lot of synonyms of the same word climax, and this is for vocabulary improvement.